Our aim is to make Bristol the dementia-friendly city of the UK. What I mean by that is that anybody that lives in Bristol, works in Bristol, comes here on holiday, goes to a school, goes to a business, goes to a community group, faith group or whatever, they've got dementia, they'll be treated with common courtesy and respect. When we started, we walked down the streets and we started in Camford Lane, Westbury-on-Trim High Street and Shirehampton High Street. And we went down those streets with 3 double-sided sheets of A4, very grand. And we went in and went to every shop and we asked to see the manager and we talked to them about their business becoming dementia aware.
We have a sort of a top-down, bottom-up strategy. So we work within the community and we work in all the areas that people have to access: transport, health and social care, emergency services, shopping centres, theatres, cinemas. So we address it from the top down, apply pressure, and we work across communities to try and make communities dementia friendly.
Becoming a dementia friendly church is not something you just do and then tick it off, because that person living with dementia, their dementia will continue to evolve. Somebody else might come into that church with dementia and their needs may be very different because they're different people and their dementia may be different.
It is a nice atmosphere here. Tony surprises us with all sorts of things that go on our meeting days. And yes, it's a nice venture.
I pitched to Tony and said, if I apply for the fund, would you be the fund holder? Because I couldn't as an individual. I want to do some work trying to raise dementia awareness through faith communities, but visibly minority ethnic communities. So I already knew about the work in churches, but I was saying, well, I wanted to go and do similar work with Sikh Gurdwaras, the Hindu Mandir, the temple, and so on. And BDAA, so brilliant, you know, nimble, creative. Tony was, yeah, I'm up for it, put me down. So I wrote the bid, but you fronted it. So then he became the boss.
The way we've worked in 10 years, we drop stones into the pond and just watch the ripples. Because you never know, you might go to an event and something happens that you totally weren't expecting, but it's happened anyway. It's the ripple effect.
Then I took over being CEO 4 years ago in November, and I was petrified, absolutely petrified. And I remember in that first week, I was kind of thinking, I don't know what to do, who do I go and see? And I thought, I know, I need a partnership and I'll go and see Tony. But it wasn't just Tony I went to see, it was Barbara. That time I was feeling very vulnerable, very unsure of what my role was going to be. But Barbara got hold of my hand and sat with me. I couldn't take any notes in the meeting because she had my hand. So we just sat and we had a cup of tea. And for me, I just knew her heart and your heart, and I wanted to work with you. And we've worked really closely ever since.
If you're living with dementia, you're still a person, you still need to be talked to. And I think there's sort of a stigma that somebody goes in and they'll talk straight direct to the carer. And that was the biggest thing for me, was knowing that those guys weren't talking to the person who was having the equipment fitted. That's the person that needs that equipment, and it was making sure that they were having what they needed to suit them and getting them involved in it.
I was the main carer for both of my parents. My father had Lewy body dementia, my mother had vascular dementia. They both came from, my father was South Asian, came from India, my mother was from Italy, and so they came from very different sort of cultures in terms of how we care for our elders in society. And I was continually conflicted as to how to give my parents the best care that they wanted from me, because that's who they thought that was my duty to do that, as well as maintain a full working life. What I learned from that process up until the day they both passed away was how unequal their experience was, not just because I was the main carer, but in trying to access services for them on their behalf.
We go back a long way with this, with Bristol Dementia Action Alliance. The very, very first meeting, in fact, Tony contacted us as Lions, and I came down and sat in on that first meeting, and we have been involved with BDAA ever since.
Like most of us in this room, my life has been impacted by dementia. That's another reason I think I come here, to learn a bit more about it, because I don't know Tony. You have first-hand experience, obviously, but I may need to be looking after Julia, or Julia may need to be looking after me in a few years' time. None of us actually know.
This is just our latest monies that's going into BDAA, and we'd just like to say we know it will be used really, really wisely.
Now, you've heard very often this afternoon about references to happy days. Well, that's our memory cap. We call it happy days because we believe people with dementia can look back to happy days. They can still have happy days. They can look forward to happy days. They're still members of the family and the community. They're just ill. So when they come to happy days, what do? We're silly for 2 hours. Because what's the best medicine? Don't say Calpol. Humour, isn't it?
I wanted to try and help anybody else that was suffering like I was, and that sort of thing. Plus the fact it gave me the opportunity to sort of come and annoy lots of people.
One of the biggest problems, not just in Bristol, but nationally, is transport. If you want to get a bus anywhere, it costs you a fortune and you don't go where you want it to anyway. So asking someone to go to a dementia event, they say, well, how do I go there? So we applied for and received a transport grant where we pay for people to go to a dementia activity. So happy birthday then, ready? Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday dear BDAA, happy birthday to you.
Dementia is one of those things that affects all of us in some way at some time, and it can be at times a hurtful experience, but also the times when it can be a joyful experience as well, to still have those chances to connect with people and to be able to care for them and look after them. So I just want to say thank you for everything that you have done over the last 10 years. You are part of making Bristol a very special city, and can I also wish you every success for the next 10 years.
I met Tony and Barbara many moons ago, and Barbara was the first person I had ever met that I knew had dementia, and it was something that was ignited in me when I met Barbara and Tony, and I wanted to make a difference. We realised that there was nothing in Shirehampton, no activities, no groups, no support that was especially for people with dementia, specifically for them and their carers. So we set up a memory cafe.
When we make contact with a business or an organisation, first of all give them a dementia awareness session. We ask them to create a link person with BDAA, and we then say, okay, well, what are you going to do as an organisation to increase awareness, A, within your organisation, and then within your community. And depending how much they do, we will then give them an award, which is at bronze, silver or gold level. Someone mentioned that we ought to have an award in memory of Barbara. And I thought that was a really good idea. And so we're awarding this year the first ever Barbara Award.
It's lovely to see so many people come together for the same reason, to celebrate 10 years of the existence of a charity that's done so much good work. It's such a small charity that achieves so much good within the city.
Hearing about all the brilliant things Tony's doing across a huge sort of network, so schools and businesses, just really trying to spread the word and raise awareness of dementia.
Sharing people's experiences and how they feel about the raising awareness with BDAA, and Bristol becoming the first city in the country to become dementia friendly.
To see the vibrancy of the partnerships between the different groups and the willingness to share resources and cross-fertilise is really inspirational.
To have a local organisation doing stuff is great, and it's great for these things to be operating at the local level. It seems wonderful.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, as long as I'm fit and able, I'll be coming along to the Happy Days cafes and raising money through the club to continue helping them.
So I work as a community development coordinator for Bristol Dementia Wellbeing Service, and my role is working in schools, developing dementia awareness. It's a joint aim to develop knowledge and understanding with our young people, to develop skills for positive interactions with people living with and affected by dementia, and to create really positive attitudes.
Hearing about the Barbara Award, because BDAA was set up with her, for her and for other people with dementia, and it's absolutely lovely to know that her name will be remembered for many, many years to come.
I thought if I could help one other person, then that by talking with them or whatever, chatting about them, my own experiences or their experiences, then I would have helped.
Yeah, it's a really good event. Really lovely surprise to receive the money from Bristol Dementia Alliance. That's lovely. Just great to see everyone. Should we sing a little song? Do a little dance?